Hello, I'm Atkins, and this week on the Media Show, why YouTubers in the north of England are being accused of exploiting vulnerable people for clicks. Also, how pirated football streams became so popular that they posed the sport with a financial crisis. And we'll report on the latest development in Netflix's podcast strategy. The Mayor of Greater Manchester in the north of England has accused YouTubers of giving his city a bad name by deliberately provoking confrontations with street drinkers and drug addicts. He's called it a phenomenon. And this all centres on the Piccadilly Gardens area of the city centre. If you look online, you'll see that these videos are hugely popular. Here's a clip from one YouTuber. This is Charlie Veitch in a video titled Very Big Trouble in Piccadilly Gardens.
Okay, welcome back to central Manchester. I can just tell it's going to be a good one. Where is my number one fan sitting? Ah, she's sat with the narcotics enjoyers and the ethanol imbibers. Oh, she's getting ready for the shift of shouting at me. It's a very profitable shift for me as well. Viewers love a bit of a... There she goes. Uh-oh, she's got a glass bottle. She's got a glass bottle.
I should say we asked Charlie Veitch to take part in the programme, but he declined. Sarah Lester is editor of the Manchester Evening News, and they've just published a report into Charlie Veitch.
What we wanted to do is look at Charlie Veitch's journey. He is a guy who thinks he's documenting something. He's quite charismatic as well, and he's basically exploiting, targeting, however you want to put it, the vulnerable. Some of these people, Piccadilly Gardens is an area where there's quite a lot of people homeless people who live, they're battling addiction, mental health issues, and he kind of they kind of get baited until they react, and then that's uploaded for profit. It's really punching down, and there's no context. It's kind of like a human form of bear baiting, really.
We should say that Charlie Veitch would probably not agree with the categorisation of his work as you've put it, but he's not here to put that himself. I just wonder, though, do you consider this journalism or reporting in any form, even if it's not in the form that journalism may have taken over the last few years?
So it's a really interesting question, and you know we play on YouTube and we're on TikTok, and there are some great TikTokers and great YouTubers, and they do some great work, but they are unregulated and often untrained. During the synagogue attack, they were on the police cordon filming our reporters reporting, filming families when they've been told not to, and just pushing out misinformation. So I think the lack of regulation, there's a place, of course there is a place, but the lack of regulation and the inability of some people to differentiate between balanced context or put balanced context into situations like that means it's quite dangerous in a situation, a world where you've got huge amounts of misinformation out there. So I worry that people don't often see the difference between the two.
Sarah Lester, thank you very much indeed. Sarah's editor of the Manchester Evening News. And let's pick up immediately on the last point that Sarah made there about regulation. We can speak to Charlotte Dewar, Chief Executive of IPSO, which is the Independent Press Standards Organisation. Charlotte, thank you very much for coming on the Media Show. Now, we talk about media regulation reasonably often on the programme, but for people who don't follow media regulation, how does IPSO, for example, fit in or sit alongside the work that Ofcom does?
Yeah, well, I'm afraid the bad news about media regulation is it's extremely complicated and it's only getting more complicated.
But the good news is you're here to help us.
But the good news is I'm here, and I know, yeah. So IPSO, which is the organization I lead, regulates a lot of newspapers and magazines, national and regional, that people be familiar with. So the Daily Mail, the Telegraph, of course, the Manchester Evening News, Vogue, a huge range of titles. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's not just those titles, it's also their output. So as Sarah was saying, they've got a TikTok, their Snapshots account, so YouTube. So
that would all fall underneath
all of everybody's X accounts. That all falls within IPSO's regulation. So if it's under editorial control of one of our regulated titles, we regulate it.
So if Sarah Lester's one of her reporters goes down and films something and puts it onto the Manchester Evening News' YouTube channel, that would be something that you would be able to regulate. But do you think you should be able to regulate YouTubers like Charlie Veitch?
I would absolutely love Charlie Veitch to be regulated by Ipso. I mean, I think there is, I don't think debates about who is a journalist are very productive, but I think debates about what is journalism are. And if Charlie Veitch wants to be regulated by an external organization that will help him to respect the privacy of the individuals he's interacting with, not be harassing them, I think that would be a great thing.
But leaving him to one side is obviously he's not here to speak for himself.
Yeah.
Being realistic, it's hard to imagine a long queue of YouTubers saying, Ipso, I would love to be regulated by you.
I mean, I think convincing anybody, generally regulation is something that people sign up to when they feel, when there's a push to do so. I think there is quite a broad recognition that there's an issue here. And I think Sarah's highlighting something important. Ipso regulation can be very helpful to help readers understand that you are trying to do proper journalism and that they can trust you. And we regularly have titles beating a path to our door. We've got 8 new members this year. We haven't gone out and got them. They've not been forced to do it, but they want to demonstrate, we're doing something better. We're doing something different. We're holding ourselves to account.
Do you think there's a danger that traditional media, legacy media as we sometimes call it, is losing a battle for people's attention because YouTubers and lots of other content creators are coming along and showing our world, but doing so in very different ways to more traditional journalism?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite things about my job is seeing the incredible innovation that competition within journalism produces in the UK. And I think that's absolutely brilliant that we've got so many different organizations and titles vying for attention. And I think that can lead to problems, that can lead to bad behavior, but it also leads to amazing things. And I think the sort of traditional or legacy, however you want to call them, publishers are experimenting, and I think they're going to go into that space, and I think it's going to be really great to see what they come up with.
Sarah Lester from the Manchester Evening News, let's come back to you quickly. You've been disparaging about the work of some of these YouTubers in Piccadilly Gardens, but more broadly, do you not think they are in some ways teaching traditional media a lesson that people want to see their world reported on, represented in media in quite different ways to perhaps the ways that the Manchester Evening News, or I should say the BBC, or lots of other legacy media go about it?
I think that's a really lazy stereotype about what we've done in the regional media to adapt. We're making differences every day, and I have no problem with a really good YouTuber who produces balanced content. We do the same thing on YouTube and on TikTok. It's great, but this is not balanced content. This is baiting, and it's caricaturing the city in a way that isn't accurate, and it's exploiting the vulnerable. It's not the same thing. I really hate the way that regional and local media is portrayed from an often London-centric media world, because you're not seeing what we are doing day in, day out. I have shouted at the Radio 4 in particular, so many times when somebody said, oh, local media don't do anything. And I think about AWAB, the campaign that changed the law for people living in social housing, which was singly driven by the Manchester Evening News, or my colleagues on the Echo and the Hillsborough Law. And but also the fact that we are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, we have very, very, very powerful things. The model is challenged, no question, but we're doing brilliant journalism every day.
And I should say that if people want to find the journalism that you do, they can do so both through your channels on social media and also on the Manchester Evening News website. I think just in defence of the media show, I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone on the programme say the local media doesn't do anything, and we speak to people in local and regional media on a regular basis. Sarah, thank you very much for being with us. That's Sarah Lester, who's the editor of the Manchester Evening News. Thanks also to Charlotte Jewett, Chief Executive of Ipso.